Hey everybody, I hope that you are doing well today. This is Stephen with Junior Achievement of North Florida, here with another Career Speaker Series interview with Anjani from Denver, Colorado. Anjani, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Excited to be
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. So the very first part of this interview is just an introduction of yourself, like name, job, where you're from, any family or personal information that you would like to share with the students.
Sure. So my name is Anjani. I'm originally from New York City, so big Northeast fan. I was born and raised there. Then I went to college at Syracuse, so upstate New York,
Okay.
and I studied chemical engineering. And then from there, I joined Lockheed Martin's Operations Leadership Development Program, which is what I actually just am wrapping up right now.
Wow.
And I currently live in Denver, and I work on space products.
So let's kind of go in the perspective of you're in high school and you obviously went to Syracuse University. What kind of led you on that journey of the sense where you wanted to pursue education?
Sure. Uh, in high school, I went to a STEM focused high school,
Okay.
so very focused on the science, math, engineering side of things. And even while I was in high school, though, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. I definitely knew that I wanted to pursue higher education, just because I wanted to specialize in something that could help me build a career and help others and make an impact in the world. And because I'd gone to the STEM focused school, I was really good at the sciences. I was good at math,
Mhm.
and so I pursued engineering, not quite knowing at first what type of engineering I would do. I started off doing environmental engineering because I'm passionate about the environment.
Okay.
Was really passionate about like renewable energies, going into bioenergy, but it was about my first semester of college where I realized, you know what, if I really want to go into that field, I think chemical engineering might be a little bit of a better fit. Not only because you can cater what you learn in chemical engineering to that, but also because if for some reason my interest changed down the road, I can pivot them to any other career.
Got it. Okay. So it really sounds like even since high school, you were really focused, obviously, with STEM, but with engineering. So that led you into Syracuse and majoring in engineering, and then obviously it really even helps you now in your current job. So it's been kind of like um, a similar path that you've experienced throughout your high school, college, and then post college life. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can say that. It definitely is similar in terms of pursuing the sciences, the
Hmm.
STEM fields. Um, it, it it definitely was surprising to me when I left high school that I actually ended up pursuing engineering because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Pursued it, ended up loving it, and the same thing happened with Lockheed Martin. When I was in undergrad in college, I thought I was going to go into energy,
Got it.
and I somehow ended up at a defense contractor and was not expecting it, was not in my plan, but I absolutely love it. So
Hmm.
it's been a journey of kind of know what I want to do, but I
Right.
just take on the opportunity that comes my way, and then I end up loving it.
Can you actually explain a little bit more to students what exactly is Lockheed Martin, and then also what is your job or slash what was your job like even before social distancing and COVID-19?
Sure. So Lockheed Martin on a high level they're a defense contractor, and what that means is they make a lot of our military products. They make a lot of our warfighter jets,
Okay.
and also anything that will really help what we call uh, the the war fighter
Yeah.
out on the battlefield. So it could be like a submarine, it could be an F-35 plane, or it could be a satellite.
Wow.
So within Lockheed, there's four different business areas. And I, right out of college, joined the Operations Leadership Development Program, as I mentioned earlier. And that's been a really, really neat opportunity
Hmm.
because it's also one of those where if you don't really know what you want to do, you get to experience a different job every single year for 3 years. Um,
Wow.
and so as a result of that, I got to experience the rotary and mission side of Lockheed, which is the side that produces like the presidential helicopter. Very cool. And then I also got to experience, and now I'm working in space. So now I got to experience space satellites, spacecrafts. Hopefully we'll be taking humans to the moon soon. And so as a part of that, I got to see a little bit of what
Yeah.
I guess everyone does. That's
Wow.
Lockheed on a high level.
Okay, got it. So then, tell us a little bit more about what was your job like before COVID-19 and before social distancing.
Sure. So in my current role, I'm a project engineer for our transportation and logistics group. And
Okay.
what that group does is they basically make sure that the satellite gets from point A to point B or even the launch site before it goes up into orbit.
Mm.
So they have a pretty important job. And before COVID, a lot of my job was one that I could do remotely.
Okay.
Really, I do enjoy being in the office. I think there's great value in being in the office and being around people. Even while I was at work, I was, for the most part, in my cube and performing my work on my computer, but having that face-to-face interaction was really meaningful
Yeah.
with my team and those who worked around me. It just made things easier because you could walk over to the person next to you as opposed to like sending an IM or an email.
Yeah.
So before COVID-19, that's like that was the dynamic of my job.
Got it.
When COVID happened,
Mhm.
because of all safety precautions, any individuals who did not need to be on campus to perform work were asked to work from home. And I was one of those. So I did work from home for about 3 months, I would say. I just went back to the office 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it's been really nice just to have that person interaction again.
Okay, that's great. And so, are you working when you're at the office like Monday through Friday, or are you able to work remotely still a little bit, or is it like 100% in the office?
I'm able to. I chose to go
Okay.
back 100%, but that's just because, so as I was explaining, I'm in this program and I'm wrapping it up at the end of June. So I just wanted to be with my team as much as I possibly could.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And so, as we're kind of progressing in this interview, what is something that you've really seen that's been positive? Like we're still experiencing a lot of changes, and whether when you were working at home remotely or now that you're back in the office, what has been a really positive thing that you've seen, even where you hope that we can continue as a new normal?
Sure. So one of the positives that I've seen is the openness and the adaptability that Lockheed has or Lockheed and other companies, I will say.
Yeah,
There's lots of big names out there, the Googles, the Apples, the Facebooks of the world, who have really been open to their employees working from home and understanding that when those two lives coexist, your work and your life and your home life, um, it can be really helpful to the employees.
hmm,
It's not necessarily always a negative thing. There is a
right,
fine line. You definitely want to draw a balance between the two, but there is room for some employees at all companies to be able to have those two commingled. So that's been one of the positives. I
yeah,
would say the other one is just a general appreciation for what we consider the essential employees. So
yeah,
for the ones who are out and supporting us in the medical field, doctors, nurses, what have you. And then also those, I mean, even those who are going into their restaurants and preparing food for
right,
deliveries. I think it's just helped us as a nation have a
yeah.
special appreciation for what others are doing.
I think a part of this is that we're obviously experiencing like kind of like volatile times. So can you also explain to students why is it so important to focus on finances, obviously during kind of like a crisis or a rainy day, but also why it's so important to focus on it before?
Yeah. And so I'll actually start by saying what I didn't mention is I'm currently also pursuing my MBA. So
Wow.
I'm working full time and pursuing my MBA, and I just took an econ class, economics. And in that class, I learned so much about what's happening to the economy, what happened in the previous recession,
Mm,
what's happening in this current recession. And so one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give from a financial standpoint, whether it's COVID or not,
yeah.
um, always have a backup plan. Definitely put some funds aside for a rainy day. You never really know when you're going to need them, but also when you're looking at your finances as a whole, I think it's important to allocate some towards yourself and perhaps I don't know, rewarding yourself for something, but it's also really important to allocate some towards growing yourself for the future or whatever it may be. For some folks, I have student loans. For some folks, it's paying off student
Right.
loans. For some folks, it's buying a house,
Hmm.
whatever that may end up being for you, it's really important to have that. And especially in these unprecedented times, I unfortunately know people who have been furloughed or have
Right.
been laid off their jobs, and that can be really difficult too. So there are definitely, I think, there are relief and support programs from our government, but it's also important for you as an individual to always have some sort of emergency funding.
And so my final question for you, Johnny, is as a woman at work, what are some like words of wisdom that you can provide with girls who are kind of dreaming big about their tomorrows?
Um, Dream big. There is
Mhm.
no dream that's too big for you to want to pursue. As a female, when I first joined Lockheed, I was an intern, and I was the only female that
Wow.
my group had had in a while. The only female, the only person who was below 50, and the only person of color.
Wow.
So talk about being like a triple minority there.
Yes.
But really, I think you have to be confident and you have to understand that if you were to go into a role, if whether it's because you wanted it or because someone wanted you to be in that role, there is a really good reason. You are qualified. You are
Yeah.
just as good as the person next to you, and you can make a difference. And once you learn to understand that, you really open yourself up the door up to so many things. So I just mentioned that I was an intern, I was the only female, and in the next month I'm going to be a supervisor, or I'm going to be leading an
Wow.
all male team. And that it's really exciting for me to be able to tell younger girls that too, because it is possible.
Mm.
Girls and women, they have just as much potential, and they can do anything they want to. And I'm really looking forward to leading an all male team and bringing in that diverse perspective.
Right.
And also, I think the world is ever so changing every single day, whether it's COVID or anything that's going on. And
Yeah.
there is a special appreciation for diversity, and promoting that in the workplace. So I think dream big. No matter what you do, dream big and go after it.
That's awesome. Really powerful words and wise words as we wrap up this interview. And Johnny, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your story and just where you come from and how you're conquering the world. So well done. And once again, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, stay safe out there and we'll see you.
Bye.